good. Yeah.
Caesar's here.
Heck yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen,
dang.
Cesar Delgadillo.
Coming out of the tunnel.
That was really good.
That was
And
amazing.
you were supposed to, you missed your spot, right?
I know, but I was just in awe. I couldn't even move.
Dude, how do you follow up with that, huh? Like, man.
All right, welcome everybody out to another episode of the Are We Where Yet podcast. I am your host, Johnny. There's a camera right there, and we got two gentlemen in the building. I'm going to introduce you first, Justin.
I am a gentleman.
Yeah, you are.
Well, you just called me one, so you can't take it back.
Yeah, you're a gentleman. We got Justin, but the show's not about Justin today. It's about my man that's sitting across from me, Cesar D.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for the invite.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming. I have a hard time with the name. I got it right once, but go ahead.
Delgadillo.
Delgadillo.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Okay, cool. That's an interesting last name.
Yeah, not too common.
Not too common. Like Delgado is common,
that's,
right?
That's a lot more common.
But Delgadillo, where's that from?
So Spain, that's like Mexico. Obviously, is where we're from, and our whole family and generations. From centuries back.
Get a little bit closer to the mic.
I looked up. There was a time where I guess Spain made like a public announcement, like if your last name is on the list, you can get like citizenship there and all that.
Okay.
So our name was on the list. So I'm like, cool, Spaniard, whatever.
He's a conquistador.
Yeah, we all got, through the history, we know like Mexicans are basically a mix of Europeans and indigenous people. So got a little more indigenous in me, I think, than the European side.
I know the common trait with that is blue eyes. So do you have like family with blue eyes?
Yeah, in my family, you got some light skin, light eyes individuals, green eyes, blue eyes, and then you got some darker skin, darker eyes. I mean, you get a little bit of everything when you're Mexican.
So this story is about your journey, but I'm going to first introduce kind of what you're doing now and what you got going on now. At least what I know you for is the Yes. Yeah. Which is the Yuma Entrepreneur Show, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's something that's kind of your platform, but the show is kind of multi-layered. You're doing more than just a typical podcast.
Yes. So we're combining it with live events, because I think even though we're moving more and more into a digital world, it can't be 100% digital, because then you lose the connection, the touch, right, of meeting people belly to belly, face to face, and having that synergy. So we thought it was important to also combine some live events with our social media platform that we have going on.
So the podcast is only available on social media?
No. So right now we have it on Anchor.
Okay.
But we are basically beginners in that area, right? I've been a part of different podcasts before, but to actually run our own and everything like that, there's a lot of work, and you guys understand that because you're doing it, and to be consistent, and plus we all got our careers and our jobs and everything that we do outside of that. It's hard to take advantage of all the platforms that technology has to offer. But I'm definitely here to learn more from you guys, and whatever you guys can contribute to that, if you feel it's a good message, piggyback off of what you guys are doing as well, So.
For sure. And that's kind of one of the things I saw you at one of your events this past Thursday, right?
Right.
Last Thursday. And we got to talking a little bit, and I was digging what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks.
I didn't do the little games or the little activities. I hid, but I saw Luis over here, over there doing the games and activities.
It's just fun, especially when you do it with people you never met before. And you don't really know what to expect. All of a sudden, you're in a competition with a stranger, and you guys got to work as a team and make it happen. And it relates into business and life in general. You don't know what life or business throws your way, and sometimes you got to deal with certain people and multitask and figure things out and do it with somebody that you just met. So it really breaks the ice to the whole networking.
I totally get it. I totally understand it. Still don't like it, but no, seriously. I it's just something I need to get over myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go out there and mingle a little bit. But so that's where you're at now. But this show's about your journey, and me and you have crossed paths quite a few times throughout your journey and my journey. And are you originally from Yuma?
So I'm originally from Los Angeles. That's where I was born, in East LA. I was there until about 3rd or 4th grade. Then we moved to Northern California in the Salinas area, Watsonville, California, and that side of the state. And then we came when I was about halfway through freshman year. It was Thanksgiving of 1999.
Of when?
Thanksgiving, when we moved from California to Yuma.
Oh, okay.
It was Thanksgiving Day, and we had KFC on the road. Like, true story.
Wow. So that was kind of like, okay, we're gonna get some chicken. We don't got some turkey, but
yeah, my dad's always like the type that puts a positive spin in everything, and for some reason he picked that day to move, and he's like, "Dang, it's Thanksgiving on the road. I didn't really think about this."
Yeah,
right?
that wasn't in his planning.
And he's like, "But hey, what the hell? We're gonna have Thanksgiving." And we're like, "Cool. Where?" KFC. Let's make it happen. So,
but he made it happen.
Yeah, he made it happy, and we were happy kids, and I have zero complaints.
So you grew up in LA. That was your childhood, and I think you were telling me you played football.
Yeah.
Is that where you played football?
So my original sport was baseball, because my dad loves baseball. So I had a bat before I was born, and I have pictures when I was 2 years old and I'm hitting a ball and all that. And so that was my dad's and my family's like main thing. I didn't really get into football until I was older, and I needed to release some of the stress from being a kid. And you want to punch people, but you can't because you'll get suspended. So football was a great alternative. I said I can hit people and not get in trouble, and then I got pretty good at that. I was always a big kid, so hitting people was kind of like fun for me. It wasn't like, oh, football's scary. It was like, I can't wait to get on the football field, right? So I did pretty good. I would hate to call it, because sometimes people, when you say that, it sounds like, okay, whatever, but it was almost like a natural sport for me at the time, to the level of competition, right? Because it's not like I was at the best schools. If I would have been at a high school that, for example, in Phoenix, Hamilton versus Cibola, I would have had to work a lot harder to get a starting position in Hamilton versus a starting position in Cibola, right? So I remember my senior year, man, I don't think I practiced one day. I was like too tired to practice, or had little injuries, and I just showed up on Friday and played and did fairly well. I wouldn't have been able to get away with that at higher schools, Desert Vista, more competition, right? So it was a blessing and a curse in the same token, right? Because it would have pushed me to work that much harder, because I think I had talent that could have got me a little bit further, but since the level of competition around didn't really raise the bar, I remember coming down.
Didn't demand that of you.
Exactly. I came down from California, man. Guys were literally afraid to hit. It's like, dude, with the exception of 2 or 3 guys on the team, everyone else was afraid. Like, literally, like, they didn't want to hit. They didn't want the contact. And so, it's like, oh, I don't even have to hit the weight room. They're already afraid, So it kind of hindered me in a sense. But yeah, football came later, definitely.
So you're raised with a bat. So your family kind of had dreams and hopes for you from the jump. Yeah.
My dad basically I didn't know anything else outside of baseball until I was like 12. Like, literally all my life was baseball. I thought everybody played it. I thought everybody watched it. I didn't know there was any other sports that anyone else cared about. It was just always baseball, cleats, glove, and a bat. And it was a big deal. It was serious. If I lost, it was a serious conversation. If I didn't do well, it was a serious conversation.
So he was grooming you to be a baseball player,
yeah,
basically.
Pretty much. He sent me to a great camp out in Northern California when I was about 12, and got to meet professional players and got to, experience that, and met some kids of professional players. And I was like if I'm not mistaken, I would have been the only Hispanic kid there. Everybody else, was some sort of other, either white or black, and they had ties into other professional players, because it wasn't a cheap camp. It was expensive. It was thousands of dollars. And so I remember my dad put basically all he had in savings just to send me to that camp. So he was serious about this.
He took it serious,
big time.
You're not a baseball player today, though.
No, I'm not. And I played all 3 sports in high school. Well, there's more than 3 sports, but all the sports I wanted to play: basketball, baseball, and football. And even though it was fun, basketball had its own fun, football and baseball, they were all different. If I can go back and do it all over, I wish I could have had I would have picked and just stuck with one and be great at that. But I was just good at all of them, type of deal, So just being good isn't good enough. So that's why, the baseball players played baseball like year round. Basketball players dribble year round. Football players are either in the field or in the weight room. And if you're jumping around from sport to sport to sport. So if any younger people are in that, because if you're that talented, you're like, I could play anything. That's great, but you're not going to master. Even Bo Jackson, he played 2 sports, but then he got hurt, because it's just too much.
Yeah, it was too much for him. So. But you were somebody that takes on the challenge, because 3 sports, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way was the 3 sports kind of you were looking for where you belong,
Man,
or
I just love team activity. I love winning, like the opportunity of competing every day. Like if I can compete at something every day, like that's what I get fired up for.
Is that something you think that you learned because your dad groomed you for baseball?
Yeah,
so it was about competing.
My dad is very competitive. Yeah,
he didn't like for you to lose, right? Yeah. So losing wasn't an option. So then now you're in high school. You got 3 teams to beat people at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a great experience all the way around. But man, if I would have said, what if I would have just focused on baseball? What if I would have just focused on football? If I would have picked, right? But it was just every year I was like, okay, I'm going to pick one because I want to become great at that. But then I couldn't let go of the other sports, and I just played everything all the time. So looking back is like, you know what? I'm grateful for the experiences that I got, but what could I have done different? Maybe picked one and gone further in that. How far? Who knows? But definitely further than what I did.
Little bit of regret, or no?
No, I mean regret. I think it's a word that could only be used if like you would rather die than gone through that. So I don't regret anything, but I look at the positive side of it. What did I learn about it? What could I have done different? But definitely not regret. Yeah.
So, because those are your formidable years, and so you were able to take a lot of those principles and the basic and the foundation of what you learned to apply later in life.
Absolutely, yeah. Because the groups of people that I met through basketball, it was a whole different demographics. My basketball crew, the people that I can still relate to today. I've gotten recent clients from some of my basketball teammates' fathers. I've still talked to some of the old baseball players that I played with, and a whole different demographics there. Same thing with football. So, it's something that's whenever I run into people, there's memories from all the different sports, so it's something that, like I said, I don't regret. But yeah, for anybody that's in that position right now, saying they're a they participate in multi sports, I would say, man, if you can really pick one and zone in on that.
So if you could tell high school you right now today, maybe pick one and zone in and see where that leads you. Yeah. No regrets, but it's still, that would be some good advice to give high school you, like, hey, let's zone in a little bit more and not try to stomp everybody on every court.
Right. High school me, or now I would tell my high school me, I would say, you know what, you're 6'1", 6'2", whatever I was at the time. You're not going to go to the NBA, dude. You're probably not going to go play far. Like, let's just look at the realistics. Unless you're like an extremely, you got crazy handles and you're a point guard, basketball's probably not for you. That should have been off the board. And I tried, but the coach was really good at like getting me back in there because he liked me because I was a hard-nosed player. Mm-hmm. I was the football guy on his basketball court.
Gotcha.
So he did a really good job of recruiting me.
He didn't want to lose you.
And they traveled a lot. Like they went to Wyoming, and to me it was like, cool. I've never like gone anywhere else besides the West Coast. So you guys are going to go to Wyoming for a Christmas tournament? I'm in. You know what I mean? Yeah. So part of that was just the fun and the experience, So, but definitely I would have at least not done basketball, done football in the first part of the year, baseball at the end of the year, and in between have that transition. That would have probably worked out a lot better than trying to do all 3.
So post high school. So what happens? You don't pick a sport. Mm-hmm. There's not one that you kind of mastered. You were a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
What'd you get into post high school?
So I did go to AWC and I walked onto the team, and I was only there for a year and a half because halfway through the second season I was like, dude, I'm done. I gotta make money. Like I don't have anybody that's like taking care of me. My dad had a successful business like up to that point. And then at that point, he basically had to let go of his business, and he had to go back to the job force. So he didn't have an opportunity for me, or like really, he couldn't say, hey, here you go. Here's $500 a month so you can eat and take care of yourself. It was kind of like, whatever financial aid or whatever support I can get from the football team, that's all I had. The cafeteria food was all I had, and the dorm was all I had. And I got tired of that. I said, you know what? It wasn't, and all these guys that come to AWC, they come from everywhere else. So there was only a handful of local guys on the team. And I felt out of place, really. I felt like, you know what? Everybody's like, they're just here to, do a year or two and get out. And I got to figure out what I got to do with my life.
So you had some different concerns than everybody else on the field.
Yeah. A lot of these guys, they were really talented, but they had issues with their grades, or maybe they got into some legal issues. So they were very like arrogant, like, I'm good, I'm going to go to a high elite school. I'm just a D1 or whatever.
Was this a pit stop?
Yeah, because of whatever issues they had currently. So, they had different plans. A lot of them, nobody was talking business and anything like that. And my mind was already in like, dude, I got to start making money. I got to figure a way to, generate my own income. I know I don't want to work for anybody, because my dad was a good example of that. Like, it was a lot funner when I saw my dad run his own business versus having to work for a company. My godfather in my early years, he was a good example of run. The reason we were out in the Salinas area is because he was a farmer there. So he was the first one that really gave me that vision of like, bro, you can build your own empire, your own business. You don't have to work for somebody. Mm-hmm. So, and that I learned that at a young age from my godfather, and then my dad transitioned into being a businessman. So those were two great role models that early on basically suggested to me, like, dude, you can run your own business.
So you saw your father carry that weight, that load of being an entrepreneur, having his own business. And so when life starts to hit, it's like, okay, no, I want this.
Yeah.
This is something that I've seen modeled in my life, something that I'm familiar with. I'd rather have this.
Yeah. So I already wanted to run my own business, but I didn't have my own business to run. And I went and got a job at Coca-Cola just because I said, you know what, I need something while I'm in school and while I figure it out.
Yeah, you need to eat.
Yeah, man. So I need to eat. So I started being a merchandiser, stocking up those shelves with 12 packs and 30 packs and the 2 liters and all that, and making sure the store looks good. And I did that at the Fry's, at the Walmart on B. I did it, Walmart on Pacific, San Luis. I was all over the place merchandising, and it was good. I liked it. I actually liked it a lot. I had fun doing it, and I was good at it. I was fast. Like, I would time myself. It was like a challenge. I was in.
So you kind of created your own sport.
Yeah. I turn everything into a sport,
right?
Everything's a sport to me.
So
life's a sport.
Life's a sport. So Coca-Cola now, merchandising's a sport.
Yep.
You got your stopwatch. You're filling it out like, okay, how long is it going to take me to get from Somerton to San Luis back to Yuma? And
yeah, everything. And how quickly can I get it done? And how can I be the quickest merchandiser on the squad? And how can I get my leadership to look at me and say, man, that guy works hard. And so I learned that from my dad as well. Like, there's no job too big or too small, because a merchandiser is basically the bottom of the bottom at Coca-Cola. But I felt prideful because I was 18 and I got to work with this big name company right off after high school, during college years and all that. So I took pride for that job. I didn't like, oh, they're only paying me minimum wage, I'm only going to put in minimum wage effort. I feel like I'm put in maximum wage effort, and I was just happy to have an opportunity. And again, I learned that from my dad. I saw my dad work for a butcher back when we lived in California, in Northern California. His job wasn't to clean the place. That was somebody else's job. But I mean, certain things, like there's certain things that butchers clean, but then there's certain things that's like janitorial stuff. My dad would literally like mop the place. And then when they come in, it's like, man, who mopped? Oh, well, Rolando, my dad, right? And then he says, I want to know that when people walk in, it's like, who was the last guy that left? Oh, that, no wonder, right?
Yeah.
It's like when you build that repetition, that's how you're going to get opportunities in life. But if you're always putting in the effort to the level of pay, you're never going to get new opportunities for higher pay, for, opportunities where someone can share an idea that you can elaborate on. You're just going to be like everyone else. You put in what you get out.
So what business did your dad have, so we could be clear? So
a distribution company. He would bring Mexican products like tortillas, chips, all the good stuff, man. Like, all the stuff you eat in a Super Bowl with guacamole, and you got the
Why
chips.
You got to make me hungry right now,
dude? So that's what we did, and that's why I gained weight, man, working with him, because he had all the good stuff. So he did that for over 10 years, and I helped out a lot. And there was candies and other things that happened with that whole company later, but the main thing was the tortillas and And it was a tough job, especially in the middle of the summer. And a truck full, you remember those truck full of products and everything that we would go distribute store to store. And it was a lot of, it was labor intensive.
Yeah, you guys would go like El Centro.
Yeah, man, imagine leaving 4 or 5 in the morning to El Centro, doing a route in Calexico, Brawley, all that area, finishing at 8, 9 out there, and it's 9, 10 here with the time change, and then you drive, and your girlfriend is still waiting for you to go see her. So I had to quit that job after a while.
I think I went with you like one time, and I like was asleep in the car on the way home.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And that's what my dad did every day, and so I'm like, I don't want to do this. And my mother-in-law would make fun of me because by the time I got to my girlfriend's house on the weekends, because we would work Fridays and Saturdays, and Sundays were the only days off. So while all the younger kids were like getting ready to go out, I was like ready to crash out by the time I got to her house by 10 or 11 p.m. And then we'll watch a movie, and I would fall like asleep in like the first 30 minutes. So they were like, "What's up with your boyfriend? Like, he comes here and falls asleep," and like I'm literally like crashed out in their couch.
Because you put in some work.
Yeah, exactly.
Some real work, and so your dad had this business. He modeled this for you, so you knew. And at AWC, the college, I have options.
Mm-hmm.
I got options. I'm gonna go take this job at Coke, and so what? Minimum wage. This isn't the end for me. This is just the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah, that was just the beginning. That got me on my way. That got me into a routine to have some responsibility and create my own opportunities. Because once you work that hard, and let's face it, it's not like those checks, are very large or anything like that, especially back then. And I just started to think, what can I do to generate more? Where can I invest my time where I can get more out of it? So I started researching insurance, and through learning more about insurance, going through a few different meetings about getting my insurance license, I actually met somebody through network marketing. And that's where I really took off, where I said, okay, I'm a businessman. I'm going to do my own thing.
Oh, I'm a businessman.
Yeah. That's what gave
right.
that guy, James Williams, is the guy that introduced me to, it wasn't the guy that introduced me to network marketing, but he introduced me to a company back then. It was called Prepaid Legal. And so I did prepaid legal hard, man, for like 2-3 years. And for somebody that was 19, 20, 21 years old during that time, my best months were like $7,000 a month back then. And so that gave me the confidence, that gave me like to say, I don't have to go out and find a job. I can create my own job, create my own opportunities.
Yeah. So. And I think that's when we first intersected through a mutual friend. I think it was Walter. Walter Gonzalez is the first one that he's like, hey, I got this boy. He's making some good money. We got to meet up. And to me, that stuff was like Greek, though.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't understand this. Like you're trying to multi-level marketing in a sense, right? That's kind of what it was.
Yeah. It's the platform to grow your business is multi-level marketing. There's people that don't really participate on the more multi-level. They do more like employee benefits or small business, and they just stick to like being insurance agents, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But for me, coming from the team and sports background, I wanted to grow a team. I wanted to be an executive. I wanted to, where are the levels to achieve? I wanted it all.
So you're like, where's the ladder? How do I
climb it? How quickly can I get there? What's the record to be broken? Like, that's how I came in, and I did well early on with that company.
See, then I'm the sucker trying to be a hip hop star back then, and you're over here making $7,000 a month, and I'm looking like, what is this? What is he talking about, Walter? yeah. But you're doing it, but that was still a stepping stone.
Yeah, that definitely was a stepping stone. And then it was this is where the story gets really where the lessons are learned, is because, see, I was 22 years old. I got to a level of executive director, which in the whole state of Arizona, there was only like 20, 25. Most of them were 30 to 50 years old. I was like 21, 22. So I really felt like I arrived. I felt like, man, it's only a matter of time I like become a millionaire or something, right? Like I was feeling good. And then there was 2007, 2008. We had the whole, situation with the economy, and you started hearing it on the news and CNN, and all this is happening. But I'm too ignorant to like think this is going to even affect me. So I just keep, instead of like, trying to figure out how to work through it, I just ignored it. like it wasn't happening.
So there's like warning signs going on around you.
People are talking about it and all that, and I'm just like zoned out. Like I'm just, oh, okay, well that's gonna affect you guys. I'm gonna keep growing my business, right? This is not gonna affect me.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm making this many, you know.
Yeah. So then instead of, once I started hitting those bigger months where I was, you know, because I was making $1,500 to, I don't know, maybe $1,800 on a good month at Coca-Cola. So once I started doing $6,000-$7,000 in prepaid legal at the time, I'm like, dude, I'm making it happen. I'm ready to move up to the big leagues. I'm gonna start making $10,000 and $20,000 and $30,000 and whatever. I'm just gonna keep growing from here, right? So I went out and started buying these expensive suits because I saw all these executives had these nice suits. I went and got the expensive car because everyone else had the Mercedes and the BMW.
What year is this that you got the car?
When this was like around 2006, 2007.
So right before the crash.
Yeah, I got a Mercedes and I was like, cool, like I made it, you know. I remember, man, when I moved to Phoenix, I was driving the car and you know those buildings with the mirror windows.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know how many times I almost crashed because I would just look at myself, dude, like feeling myself because I felt like I made it. I'm in the big city. I got a luxury apartment. We moved into a luxury apartment. A partner of mine, him and I, we moved in there. He was a director in my organization. I was an executive. And so we're like, where are we going to move, dude? Let's get a place. Let's get something that's nice. And dude, it had the whole nine, the theater and the lobby. And we were the only ones that used the theater because everyone else had real jobs and they would leave. We would hang out the whole time there and just invite people to watch our videos, and that's how they would sign up. And we would give them popcorn and cappuccinos that were free from the.
You ever get this treatment, Justin? Were you guys boys around that time or no?
No, I met Justin after that, man.
Oh,
I met Justin when I was on the rebound.
Oh, okay. So 2007, 2006, you got this nice car. You got the popcorn popping off. You got the cappuccinos and
the pool parties.
The pool parties.
The volleyballs.
You missed the pool parties, Justin.
I was in Africa, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was in Africa back then.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
So then the warning signs they're around, but you're like, hey, I'm making it. I'm living it. I see myself in the reflection going down the highway. Yeah.
Yeah. So once I was making that kind of money, my expenses also went up to $5,000-$6,000 a month with rent, with maintaining that type of vehicle. All this, when you raise your income, that's good, but if your expenses also go up, it's like it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep, right? But at that time in my head, I'm like, I'm just gonna keep making more, so I'm just gonna doubling down. Who cares? What's another $100 here, another $1,000 there? I'm gonna make more, right? And so taxes got to me. I remember one year I was like, I don't know, maybe $15K into taxes, $20K. I don't know what I owed. And I had like $2,000 in my bank account. I was like, what the hell did I do? And so,
because that's part of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's part of being an entrepreneur. If you don't have the education and the mentorship and people that are around you, because the problem is not that I didn't have it. It's just, I kind of just took off and didn't ask anybody anything. And I just act like I had it all figured out. And so the mentorship was there. I could have easily talked to people and they would have gave me advice. But this was like before the Gary Vee era, the Grant Cardone era, the Tai Lopez era. Like there wasn't anybody just giving out information like that. You had to know people. You had to be in their circle to really get to know some of their strategies and the ways they go about their business. So when the whole collapse happened,
let's get to 2008.
2008 and things start collapsing literally, right? And also Joe Arpaio around the time was circling up Mexicans like no one else's business, dude. You were at a red light and then all of a sudden it's blocked off and they're asking for people for papers and then they're scooping people up. A large portion of my team, which I didn't know at the time because you're in multi-level marketing, you don't even know who signs up on your team. There was a lot of people on my team that were not documented people here in the States.
So that wasn't like a typical procedure to go check their records?
No, because all it is, you needed an ITN number, and anybody can get that. You didn't need a social security number, right?
Gotcha.
So people would sign up at the time. They probably changed that now, and we've changed our policy since then. They probably would clear that up. But I don't know what the company does now, but at that time because my team grew bigger in Phoenix. There was a point where we had about 700 associates plus, and out of Phoenix it was like 500, and so that's why I moved to Phoenix. But then when that whole thing happened, I had, out of those 700, there was about 100 plus that were active, and out of those that were active, a good 50 or 60% of that was Hispanic, from our Hispanic meeting. We had a meeting just where our Hispanic people would go, and most of those people were undocumented.
Wow.
And a lot of them went back home, went back to their native country. A lot of them just figured they had to do something else, I guess. I don't know. But that and the economy happened right around the same time.
So that was like a perfect storm for you.
Yeah. So I went from, being at a level where I'm bringing in $6,000-$7,000 a month to boom, you're back at like $1,500, $2,000, and your expenses now are $5,000. And yeah, you can't live there anymore. You can't drive that anymore. You can't buy that type of clothes anymore. And then to make matters worse, I gained weight. So then I couldn't fit in my nice clothes anymore. Because I was like a 34 back then when I was killing it, and younger, wearing like size 34 waist. Dude, I went up to like 38. And it's like, damn.
You gained weight because you were making that.
Well, because you started eating garbage, dude. I started eating out of the dollar menu after that. When you only got $1,500 to live and your rent is freaking $800, even if you moved out of the luxury apartment. Because at this point, we had to go somewhere else. And, dude, we hot and spices. And 2-for-1 cheeseburgers, bro. Like that was like all day, at least once a day. After 3 months, boom, that's 20, 30 pounds later. And you're like, what the hell? Like, nothing's working out for me right now. Like the money stopped coming in. I don't look the way I used to look. None of my clothes fit. I drive this beat up car now when I had a Mercedes. So it was a moment where I was like, it was humbling. It was definitely humbling. And it was also a good lesson. Because, even though I still have the tendency to like to buy myself nice things, and my wife and my daughters, but we always do it, with the plan, that we don't just do things just off of like, oh, I want that, let's get it.
So that's now, that's something you learn now. But like, let's go back to 2008 when this perfect storm hits. And your expenses are what you're saying, like 5,000 or something. You said,
yeah, at least
5,000 a month.
And my accounting was pretty bad, so it was probably even worse than that. So
yeah. So you got 5,000 in expenses. You're making what now? What you drop down to?
Like $1,500.
$1,500.
Yeah.
You lose the car. You lose the house. Mm-hmm. You're fat, right? What do you do?
I call my dad and I asked him for advice. I'm like, what do you think I should do? Our business is not where it was just a few months ago. I don't know whether I should stay here in Phoenix and get a job. And he said, come down to Yuma and help me with our business, with our family business. Let's push that. So came back down to Yuma. Imagine from being in the Mercedes with the suits in your own luxury apartment, having friends over and being like, wow, man, this is your place. That's your car. Wow. I want your life, to having to say, so Dad, which of these rooms is going to be mine now?
Wow.
And have to wear like my old clothes because the new one that I like, the nice clothes wouldn't fit. So then I had to just wear whatever, shorts and T-shirts for a while.
You went from suits to shorts, T-shirts.
Yep.
You got your pick of the room, but it's like, okay, you're going to be back in this room. So you're back with your parents.
Yep.
And your dad said, let's go.
From running conference calls and running a presentation in front of a room full of people and strangers I've never met before, to going back to my neighborhood and living in my parents' house for maybe a year and a half.
Wow. And is it that 2008? Is that still, or it's like 2008?
Yeah, maybe that was already like 2010 because I was like, that was after.
Okay, so it just like it started to trickle down.
Yeah, it wasn't like
it wasn't automatic. It was something over a course of time.
I tried to keep it alive, but it just was overbearing after a while.
So you're back. You're sitting in a room. What do you do? What are your thoughts? How are you going to collect yourself?
Well, number one, I've never stopped dreaming. Every day of my life, I've always dreamed of something. Like something bigger than what I'm currently doing. So I think part of what kept me through those tougher times. I've never entered into depression in my life. Thank God. I've never had an experience with that.
Even all that hitting, you didn't.
Even with that hitting me, because I've met people that are depressed. I've never been depressed. I was like, it was just kind of like, my story just got more interesting. You know, it wasn't. I knew that one day I would be sharing my story to tell you how it got better.
So you were already here.
Yeah,
in this room. You're already here in
my
this
head,
room in your mind.
In my head, I've always been up here.
Yeah.
The battle, the reality, and the moments are not always there. It don't always match what we have in our head. But in my mind I always try to keep myself razor sharp with that mentality of I'm gonna conquer eventually what I want to conquer.
So you're working with your pops, but what's step one back to you?
So what got me really motivated is that it's a business. It's my dad's business. Now I get a chance to put in now with experience, I get to put in my 2 cents, because when I was younger, it was just, I had to do whatever my dad would tell me to do. Now that I got some experience, I actually started putting a lot of input in my dad's business. So that motivated me, because I didn't just feel like a scrub that's along for the ride. I closed some deals. I remember we got into the Chevrons and Circle K's, and I'm the one that actually talked to the decision maker. So that's what really got me in my way into sales, because it gave me the confidence. If I can talk to these Circle K people, these Chevron people, and we can get our products in their stores, I can sell anything to anybody. That's that's initially where I got that sales confident, beyond like the network marketing side of it. Because network marketing was like, I know I can talk to individuals one-on-one, share an idea, and get them to come on board, which is nice. But then when you go up to like decision makers, corporations, that they're not easy to sell, man. They're not easy to even give you the time of day. So that gave me a whole nother level of confidence to say, okay, I've done my network marketing thing, but now I feel like I'm a legit salesperson.
For you, it's like another sport.
Yeah.
Just for another sport for you to go out there and get on the field and like, okay, the objective is a little bit different.
Yes.
You know, this is a different, a different ball, a different team, but I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to score.
Exactly. So the crazy thing about that game, though, when we scored on the distribution, the more accounts we got into, the more workload existed, and we didn't really know how to scale. And when we attempted to scale and we brought people on board, they ended up not working out for us. The people that my dad onboarded to work with the team ended up eventually, I don't want to, get into any like negative or throw anybody under the bus, but they were not the right fit, and they actually hurt the company big time. It hurt the company so much, and it hurt my dad's morale so much that he eventually said, you know what, screw it. I don't want none of this. He actually left the whole entire route to my uncle, who has been doing it since. My uncle has paid off his house with it. My uncle still runs that business to this day, that he just basically piggybacked off of because he used to work for my dad, and he was great with my dad. He wasn't the problem. It was a few other people he brought on board. And so my dad's like, dude, I don't want it. Take it. And my uncle still runs it, dude. So it's still a successful business to this day, but my uncle runs it. Right?
And then your dad went back to working for somebody else.
Yeah, my dad's done different things throughout the years since then. And now we actually had a conversation a couple of days ago, and we're just planning to bring it all in. Like, I think I've reached a certain level, and I can influence certain things where I can now provide my dad with opportunities. So, yeah, my dad's looking to, collaborate with me a lot more now, because now it's like I got the torch, and it's my turn to make sure that, everything's where it needs to be, and you guys are taken care of.
Okay, so the sales thing, you're learning the sales game. You sold, you're getting your stuff into Chevron, so that's making you feel good. It's getting your blood going. Like, okay, I could do this.
Yeah,
I could do this again, basically, because you were successful. A comeback. Yeah, you're starting to get that smell, right? Like, okay, it's coming. I know it's coming. Yeah. So what'd you get into post your dad's business?
So this whole time,
Mango.
Is this where we get the Mr. Mango?
And so,
I don't know.
So we have a distribution company, right? We have all these candies. We deliver to Mr. Mango. We deliver to the restaurant next door, which is.
So you're already delivering to Mr. Mango.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, so we would deliver to what now is El Durón, El Zarape. So we would deliver tortillas to that restaurant, and through the grave.
Back when it was just El Zarape.
El Zarape back then, yeah.
Yeah.
Back before. And then we hear that they want to sell the company, the business. And so I don't have enough money to be able to do it by myself. So I brought a partner that I knew that was in my team with prepaid legal back then. So I brought him on board and we partnered up. I basically had the connection of the products and the relationship with the owner. And so we made a deal. So it was pretty much like a lease. It wasn't like we bought the building. We bought the rights to work with them. And, we basically could have, up to last year, my friend still ran that business up to last year. And so he ended the lease. And so I have zero ties with it now. Mm-hmm. But at that time, it was a good 2.5 years. And I was at the front, Justin would see me. I know, maybe I don't remember how to make absolutely everything in that place, but there was a time where anything in the Mr. Mango menu, I can make it.
Yeah, and I think that's when we intersected again, because I saw you and you were talking about buying the place. Yeah. That was like something that you were talking about, and I'm like, that's the prepaid legal dude. And then, now he's talking about buying Mr. Mango. Like, how'd this happen? What's going on? And just for our listeners, because we do got listeners all over the globe, tell them what Mr. Mango's is and what you did. So
it's basically a Mexican snack shop, right? You have your raspados, which is the spicier stuff is the most popular stuff, right? Here around this area.
You're making me hungry again.
Like the entumidos, the Mr. Mango with the mango and the chamoy and all that. Really bad for you, by the way. Like, it's a lot of sugar, man. But let's tell it like it is. Like, but whenever you want just a good snack, when you're like, screw it, it's my cheat day or whatever, that's the type of snack you want to have, right? Because it also comes with a lot of fruit and stuff. So it's like, all right, at least you get the balance.
So you got some fruit in there.
You got some fruit, and then it's refreshing and all that. But it's like shaved ice, with the Mexican style syrups. And a lot of them were made like from scratch. It's not like you just buy the bucket from Sam's Club or whatever, and then you just pour it in. Like, that stuff's garbage. That's garbage. But like, we would make the stuff from scratch, and dude, it's delicious. What can I say?
Yeah, there's like a bunch of those spots. Yeah, but
there's
Mango
a lot.
was popping off.
Yeah, Mr. Mango's. There was a point it was definitely the most popular spot, and then Pingüinos. You got Michoacana now, Lighthouse. And a few others. So yeah, it's definitely a competitive market still to this day.
Yeah, but that was like Justin said, that was the spot, Mr. Mango. That's where everybody wanted to go. And so you own that. You did pretty good.
Yeah, we did good. The craziest thing there was not even the traffic or the money that it was bringing in. It was the relationship with my partner. And I think Justin saw a little bit about that. We didn't really. He was a lot older than me, at least 10, 12 years older. He grew up in Mexico. It's just a whole nother culture. Like, we would clash a lot. Different. There were arguments, but it was mainly like constant like disagreements with like the way we would run things and how to go about it. So it got to a point where I was already eyeing something else, and I just said, dude, go for it. Keep running it. I'd rather just leave friends than end up having some issues over this. So let's just you keep handling it. I find another lane, and we can be friends.
And you had that confidence. You had that confidence that you could find another lane.
Yeah, because really, Mr. Mango wasn't even my lane. That was just kind of like my, I got there because it kind of fell in my lap. It wasn't my thing. My thing was sales, outdoor sales, and writing up contracts and selling deals, right? So being at Mr. Mango's was just like completely out of my lane. So that after a year and a half of that, I was like, I want to go back to my lane, right? So that's why I didn't have a problem leaving it, because it wasn't my lane from the beginning. I enjoyed it while I did it, and I learned a lot, and my level of customer service got, I had to run a real business. It's different when you run a building with products and you got to account for all that, employees, than when you just offer a service and you don't have to carry inventory.
So it was another school in a sense, though, right?
Yeah, it was a completely different
It made you more dangerous, because now you got a whole other aspect. You learn a whole other way of doing business, so you got more tools in your tool bag.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
And I get to see and understand some of the pain that a small business owner will have. So now when I sit down with a small business owner and maybe someone that runs a restaurant, it's like, man, I feel your pain.
You get it. You could be empathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I just want to real quick, how'd you and Justin meet? We got to get that out there for everybody because you guys been making googly eyes at each other for a while. So
Well, we used to kick it hell of.
Oh yeah. Once we met, we kicked it for a minute. Like we kicked it like almost daily.
I want to know how you met.
So you want to tell the story or?
No, it's your podcast,
Okay.
bro.
So we met through an event that he did at the library, public speaking event. And so I'm like, cool. I've already had dabbled into public speaking with network marketing and all that. I said, I want to go learn from somebody here locally that's putting this, because before then I have never heard anybody in Yuma do something like that. So I was like, I got to go support this, number one, and number two, let's see what I can learn. And it was very different. I thought it was going to be someone like just talking on stage and you got to stand like this and your voice has to be clear and your posture and all this other technical stuff. But it was almost like he just made us feel comfortable. I remember there was an activity where we just talked to each other and it just like everybody was like friends at the end. We all had confidence in saying what we wanted to say. And from there I was like, dude, man, like let's stay in contact, and that was the time that I was at Mr. Mango. So it was easy for me because I had like my routine was set. It was from my apartment or the condo where we were at to Mr. Mango, and I had my routine. And so I would hit up Justin like, hey, I'm off at this time, come through to Mr. Mango, get hooked up, whatever, and then he would make some pasta at the time, and I would buy it like anytime he would make it. I'm like, whenever you make it, bro, like
we had
pasta
like a
plates.
little pasta hustle going.
Oh man, that was bomb. Like I'm like, whenever I go to even Olive Garden or something, I'm like, it's still not as good as Justin and his uncle's pasta, man.
Well, and I think what was cool for me is because I had just moved to Yuma. So you were like one of my first friends when I moved to town, and then you knew so many people, and so it was kind of like you helped me learn Yuma a little bit.
True. Yeah, he had just got to Yuma back then, so it was a good time. I think it was a good time for both of us to have each other's backs.
Yeah. So you went to this because you were about the growth. This was another way for you to grow. And public speaking was something that you thought like, I'm going to need this one day. Cause you're always thinking ahead. Yep. You're at Mr. Mango's. Obviously there's nothing at Mr. Mango's that would suggest that you need to know how to be up there, telling people how to live their life. But it's like, no, I'm living in the future. I need to go do this. You meet Justin. He hooks up with the bomb pasta.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm not responsible for the weight gain, by the way.
Did a little bit of weight gain with the pasta?
Yeah,
I gained weight with the pasta.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah, because man, that stuff was good.
Yeah. So that's how you guys cross paths, and then end up being pretty cool. And did you learn any more from him past that?
Yeah, he actually did a portrait of my wife. See, now I'm gonna go into my wife's story a little bit. See, this whole time I've been dating my wife. My wife and I, this May has been 13 years since we started dating. So the day I turned 21, I asked her out. So this is when I'm doing really good. I'm feeling good about myself. And I met her through a mutual friend down in Mexico. So I'm driving down to Mexico, making money. I meet this girl from Mexico. I'm like, we're going to get married soon. I'm going to take you to the States and you're going to have the best life you can ever imagine, right? I'm already in that fairy tale mode. But this was right before we hit like rock bottom. So 5 years later, this when we actually get married. It took us 5 years to get married because I wasn't ready, because I wanted to have the house with the picket fence and the dog and the nice car before we got married. And so I almost had that ready, and then things flopped, and then I had to start from zero again and living at my parents' house. And I'm dating her this whole time, right? And so when she gets ready to graduate from the university as a teacher, as a gift, I go to my boy Justin. I say, hey man, can you draw something nice?
Okay, well hold on, because I had just started an art apprenticeship, right?
Yeah.
Like the public speaking thing was like a whole chapter of my world, and when I did it here, it was just to meet people, right?
Right.
I was like, I don't know what to do, so let me just do this class at the library. But I had just started my art apprenticeship, right? So I was not very good yet, like. And he threw me a bone to like do this portrait, and it was all right.
It was good.
It was good. It was
Yeah.
good.
But I just, you know what I mean?
It's
Like
still at
I have
my
to show love
mother-in-law's
because it
house.
was like at the beginning of my.
It's in my mother-in-law's hallway at
And
their
since
house.
then, I've sold like big paintings and stuff. But
right.
it was like right at the beginning.
That was like right at the beginning. I don't know. It might have been one of your first paid.
I think it was one of my first paid gigs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you helped.
I always support, anybody that's like artistic, whether
Yeah.
it's through music or through art, because you just never know. You can't just assume like they're going to figure it out. Like help them out, man. Like they're trying, especially if there's certain people, especially in music is a little different. Like they're just kind of throwing things out there to see what hits. But if somebody's really about their art form, I'm like, I dig it, dude. I'll support it at whatever level I can support it.
Gotcha. So you guys had a little bit of bond. So he helped you on that way. So you want to get a gift. You're thinking about your lady. You're like, I know this artist.
Yeah, I didn't just want to give her something like anything else I could just buy from the store or whatever, right? Because that's a one of a kind,
Yeah. So you got your boy that knows pasta, but also knows a little bit about some art.
Yeah.
Right. And then because
I went to their house and his uncle, it's got a whole gallery. I was like, damn,
that's
dude,
what I was
I can't afford
thinking.
your uncle yet, but what about you?
Yep.
See, I like this guy yet. Right. He's still thinking about the future.
I still want to buy something from his uncle.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's good stuff, man.
I can't wait to get your uncle on the show, man. That's going to be something else.
Yeah, he's an amazing dude.
Yeah, that's going to be something else. That's going to be the future, though. That's going to be like when I end the show, let's drop the mic or something.
Since we're on talking about his uncle, I remember being outside and of their house. I think Justin will remember, maybe he was out there as well, because I was always running around, right? Even back then, man, I was always like in a hurry. I would pop in, pop out, got this and that going on. And so one day he's like, he's just so calm, right? He's always so calm. And just, he sat down in front of the house. The weather was nice. It was maybe October around,
Probably
or
like
maybe around this time.
Yeah.
And the weather was nice, so we can just chill outside, super cool day. He's like, what do you like really want? What is happiness for you? Are you really fulfilled? He started asking me questions, right? And I'm like, yeah. Like if I want to make it big, man. I'm hustling. I'm getting it. Like, you gotta, money's not going to come to you. You got to go get it. And all this kind of concepts that a hustler mentality would suggest. Right. And he suggested something different to me that day, which at first it was kind of like over my head. He's like, think about a fountain. And I'm like, okay, what about a fountain? Just, it's got water and stuff. People throw pennies at it. It's like, can a fountain go anywhere? Like, no. It's like, it's permanently stuck in that position, right? But people come to it. And you're the opposite right now. You're trying to go get everybody. It's like, just think about that for a second. Be more of a fountain and attract people more than you have to go chase them down.
How'd that hit you that day?
That hit me like, well, at first I was like I said, it went over my head. I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to get like because he's so artistic and like so deep. I'm like, I got to get this whole message, right? But it was a simple message. It's like, dude, slow down, find peace with yourself, understand you first, be at ease with yourself, know what you really want. And you're going to attract people yourself that way. You don't have to always be chasing everybody around, running here, running there. Determine what your happiness is, and you'll find yourself. You're going to be grounded. And I see the way he lives his life, and he lives by that. Like, he doesn't go anywhere.
It's a trip, huh?
When does he go out and hustle and I have to go find this guy? People go to him.
No anxiety.
No, not at all.
Never an anxiety, no
cool,
matter
like, man.
Yeah, no matter what he goes through. So you've heard that lesson, but where are you at now? Where you're doing this Yuma Entrepreneur Show, right? You're no longer doing the prepaid. You're no longer Mr. Mangoes. I know you do solar, right? But I'll be honest, one of the reasons why I wanted to do the show with you is that the past few times that we had encounters, you haven't tried to sell me solar.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel safe with you. Seriously.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. It's like, oh, okay. Cause every time I ran into you in the past, it was like, hey, I got this deal, man. Hey, I got this.
I learned from his uncle. I started being more of like a fountain, You know what I mean? I get clients, people would look for me. I don't have to chase clients. I don't have to chase recruits. People ask to join my team.
So that conversation that was like so many years ago took root.
Oh yeah,
dude, found a spot.
That's in one of my top 10 in my journal. That I've shared that story with other people, and this is the first time like we're talking about this with like Justin reflecting on it. But I've shared that story with other people before.
So then that's what I saw, because Thursday, we were chatting at your event, and I'm like, man, something's different about Cesar. It's like, this has been like the third or fourth time. And like, I saw you in a park when I just went to go walk at a park and kind of get my mind right.
Right.
And you were out there with your coach mentality, and you're like huddled in, and you got all your guys around you, but then still you didn't try to sell me anything.
Yeah. I want to give value, man. I want to give value, and from whatever value people can receive from me, if there's any interest in purchasing my services, my products, great. If not, it doesn't matter. I'm just here to give value, whatever value I can. And from there, if we can strengthen our relationship, because that's really what it comes down to. Relationships is the modern day, income. If you have strong relationships, you can get further in life than just having. I've learned that having a little bit of money can be here today, gone tomorrow, but having strong relationships.
You've literally learned that.
Yeah, for sure.
Literally.
It's not just, a cute saying. Like, I've seen that, and I've been on both sides. From having quite a bit for who I was and what I was at the time, to not having anything at all, to being in a position where now I can help, my family. I can help other individuals start their own business. I've helped other people start their own thing. And it had nothing to do with what I was good at. Like, I have a younger guy right now, like, killing it on the e-commerce game, and I don't really understand too much about it. I get the concept, but I invested into him, into that, to help him going. And so now he doesn't need to go get a job. He's running that, and he's getting better, And if at one point there's something that comes out of it and I get to benefit off of it, great. And if all it did was help him get on his way, then I'm happy with that as well. So
you went from this dude running on a field to chasing after people to get them to sign up to something. Now you're more of a fountain. Yeah,
man. At least that's the goal. And I try to be that more day by day. And it's funny that, like all these years later, we're talking about it, because that conversation stuck with me, man.
Yeah. So, and I think everything happens for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why all of us are back in each other's lives.
Yeah.
Because it's, I believe everything is energy. And so we're kind of vibrating on that same, if you Bob Proctor,
well,
Bob, you know what I mean? You hip to Bob Proctor?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not familiar with
the Secret, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I just, the name didn't ring a bell right away, but
okay.
yeah.
So like
The Secret and the Law of Attraction.
Law of Attraction.
Yeah.
I think, once you start to vibe on that same level, like, you start to attract people back into your lives, and that energy starts to, like, okay, this is what you need now.
Yeah. And good people got to stick with good people, man. And people that have, don't have an agenda just to serve their needs, but a way that really is to give value to others, right? And I think you guys are doing a great job of thinking outside the box, doing things that the average person in Yuma is not doing. They rather sit there and complain on how we don't have this, we don't have that. You guys are creators. You create something out of nothing,
that, man. I appreciate those kind words. So so Thursday you had your event, and I was thinking, like, okay, I got to get him on the show. I was looking for somebody. I actually kind of wrote in my journal that day, like, because the person I wanted to get couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're having this conversation, and then you said something that struck me. You said when you were a kid, you had a fear that you were going to spend the rest of your life possibly doing a job that you didn't like.
Yeah.
That was like a legit fear. And you're like, I didn't want to do that. And then your wife came up with her new haircut and her pretty dress, and she was just glowing. And I was like, man, this dude made that happen.
Yeah.
And then you took a picture of her and her homegirl, and they were smiling, glowing at your event. And it was just like, that's a beautiful thing right there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And it was a beautiful moment for me, because from where we came from just a few years back, because it hasn't been that long ago, where my wife, my oldest is going to be 7. Just a few months before she was born, we got ourselves in a situation where we literally had no money. So this is 7 years ago, right? So 7 years ago, we're in a situation, we have no money. we're renting a house in Mexico because she's from Mexico. So I went to go, when we really disconnected was when I moved out to Mexico for 2 years, right? And then when I came back, I was already married with my family. So it was a whole different situation where Justin and Cesar would kick it, working at Mr. Mango's.
Yeah, and then life just kind of took us.
And then life just took us to a whole nother, direction. And I got married, and I'm trying to support my wife, and she's got a teacher salary in Mexico, which was like $600 a month. I'm just crossing the border and got the easiest job available to me, which was at the ACT call center as a supervisor, because, hey, I'd rather just walk across and get the job right here, and while my wife situation gets taken care of. So I spent 2 years down there, and I ended up quitting that job, or actually I got let go after a while, but I had quit mentally a long time ago. So I'm just like, I'm waiting to get let go, basically, right? And I'm just being real with it, because that's exactly how it went down. And because I already had other plans. Again, I was just waiting for my wife so we can come out here. But it took longer than expected. I was expecting a year. It took 2 years. So the money really got dry, and it was like, man, we got to figure it out. But I said it, and I've said it to her, and I've said it before in front of people. I have not had a bad day since I met my wife, and that was 13 years ago. I have not had a bad day, because no matter what, we'll talk about it, we'll figure it out, and we're good to go. So, it was to go through that and be where we're at, say Thursday, and be in that moment.
Yeah.
It was pretty special, man.
Yeah. And I was just looking from the corner, being able to witness this moment of her. Cause like, you're like, hey, this is my wife. And I was like, well, I met her. And it's like, yeah, she looks different. She get hair, she a new dress, and she's just glowing. And it's like, man, my boy made this happen. And she's happy to be a part of what he's doing, what he's producing here in Yuma, Arizona.
And she's there every time. My daughters are there every time, because, I've decided a long time ago that no matter what business I built, my family's going to be part of it.
Yeah.
So
that's great, man. So let's fast forward right now, what you're doing, the Yuma Entrepreneur Show. You got a big event coming up. Let's go ahead and plug that event, what you got going on.
So the first event is going to be at Legacy. Well, both events actually at Legacy's right across the street.
Yeah, right
downtown.
Across the street from the Littlewood Co-op, right over here. The Legacy, shout out 310 Media, Legacy, Luigi.
Absolutely,
they do everything.
So we're gonna have a Christmas party December 10th.
Okay.
And we're gonna this is like literally within the last 24 hours we figured all this out. So we're gonna be rolling out the social media and promoting it and all that. But it's going to be basically like a client appreciation day. So any of our clients, the Yes team consists of AT from Max Force, and Ada and Edward from Bancorp, and myself. And I have, the solar team and solar clients. So we're going to invite clients to have a Christmas dinner. We're going to have gifts for them. And we're also going to do like a fundraiser. But we're going to ask people to donate clothes. If you can donate some new clothes, great. If you want to donate clothes that you no longer use, and we're going to give those to a charity, I know I have at least a bag full of clothes that I can donate. And so leading up to it, we're going to have some stations, in their office or different places throughout town. But then on the 10th, that's where like the drive, we're going to put everything together.
You're like, I ain't going to lose the pounds, bro. Just donate the clothes.
All right. I'm not going to get back into it.
Yeah, it's not happening.
No, we're not going below 36. Okay. So
yeah. It gets to a point where like your bones are at 36. Like even if you get skinnier than that. Right.
So then that's one event, but what's a big event? Come on, you're teasing me right now.
Okay, so that's the December event, and then coming March 20. Let me double check the date, because we're still I believe it's the 27th, but let me just confirm. It's gonna be March 27th and 28th. It's gonna be a 2-day event. Okay. And what we're looking to do is have a lineup of speakers. We want to bring this lineup of people who specialize in branding, people who specialize in social media marketing, and people who are health and fitness coaches. And so from all these different areas, and spend 2 days down here in Yuma, Arizona. And people are coming from San Diego, from the East Coast, different speakers from different places. Some of them charge $10,000 a coaching session. Like, I mean, we're not just bringing people that are.
Want me to get you a session, Justin?
Dude,
I got you, man.
Dang.
It'd be worth it. It'd be worth it. I tell you, man. Some of these guys, like for example, Nicholas Barely, he's the CEO of the Billion Dollar Body. He's been featured in Forbes and Millionaires Under 30, all that. He's only 27 and making 7 figures, right? So he's out in Temecula, California.
So that's one of the names that you're getting down.
That's one, and then his wife's going to be in the women's panel to talk about how to work as a couple when you guys are entrepreneurs, because it's not easy, right? Everybody sees the Instagram stories and somebody got to buy a nice car and their business is booming, but what are the sacrifices that come with that, right? So she's going to give a little bit perspective about, being a power couple and from a female perspective, right? We have a Super Bowl champion, Devin Wyman. He actually protected Tom Brady's blindside as a tackle, and he's a Super Bowl champ.
Nice.
And he does a lot of charitable events. He goes to schools and talks about like suicide prevention and anti-bullying, and people, like kids especially, just love him afterwards. Even like the craziest kids, the biggest bullies will like hug him and like tell him like, hey man, your speech really impacted me. So again, supporting guys that are doing great things out, not just here locally, that because he's coming in March, but he's doing this all over the country.
Gotcha. So you're going to get all these people together, get them in a building, 2-day event. How do people get tickets?
So we're going to have the link available here. I want to say Monday coming up next week, because it's going to be like a funnel, right? And we're going to be sharing it.
So this will air in a few weeks. So we'll put the link up on, it'll already be live by the time this comes out. So,
right.
So we'll put the link up on the page, so people be able to just scroll down and click and be on the website, and everywhere they can hear this podcast, you'll be able to get some tickets.
Absolutely.
So cool. Right on.
It's going to be good, man. I think Yuma's going to get something they've never got before, because I know there's been events where, especially like real estate, and there's like real estate gurus that come down and give, but this is just for any entrepreneur, not just real estate, not just the real estate industry. It's for anybody that wants to start a business, even if you're not currently in business, but you have some ideas, or if you have some inspirations of perhaps owning your business someday. That's an event you definitely want to go to.
And again, this isn't something you have to do. This is part of your giving back.
Yeah, I mean, we enjoy doing this. I've learned so much from going to events. I've learned so much from the people that are coming down, that it's like, man, people in Yuma need to hear this stuff, man. Because I want our town to keep growing, to be a solid economy, to have people that are job creators, not just job seekers. Because that's the biggest thing if you have people that can create opportunities, it changes the game for your area. You're not just having a 90% job force and 10% entrepreneurs. We want to tip the scales and have more entrepreneurship. Even if you have a full-time job, a full-time career, maybe you're a nurse, a doctor, whatever. You make good money. You feel like you don't need to start your own business, but why not? With today's technology, like, you can do everything off your phone. Like
you got options.
You got options. So some of these guys are going to teach some of those skills in ways that people can leverage technology to provide a second stream of income.
Gotcha. So before I end with the question I always end with, I just want to pick your brain. You read?
Yeah, definitely. A lot more podcasts lately, though, just because they do a lot of reading for us, and then they just share what they've learned, right?
Same boat, man. Same boat. But just an entrepreneur, somebody looking to come up, what's the one book you would recommend?
So I would say like the first book that would like change your paradigm is The Dream Giver.
The Dream Giver.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the author, man. I'm bad at that sometimes. If it's not like Napoleon Hill or one of those guys.
Can Justin, you look at it?
Bruce Wilkinson?
Yes, Bruce Wilkinson. That's it.
The Dream Giver.
Great
okay.
book.
What's it about?
So it's like breaking out of your shell, coming out of your comfort zone. It's Ordinary is the name of the main character. And and he becomes extraordinary. So he starts at an ordinary house, watching ordinary TV with ordinary parents in an ordinary neighborhood in the ordinary city with ordinary expectations. And he has to go through that and become extraordinary. So they take you through a whole journey of what it's like to going from ordinary to extraordinary. And somewhere in between, there's the land of the giants, where you are trying to grow and you're confined to a level where, like, man, all these guys, look at my competition. This company is this company is that. They've achieved that. So they look like giants to you, right? And he, through that chapter, he battles the giants. He gets through it. He goes through the desert and until he finally gets to the level where he's extraordinary. So it's a great book too.
And that book helped kind of flip the way you look at things.
Well, I was already like getting good mentorship from other great people that I was following in real life, not necessarily, going to events and not missing our company events and hearing them speak. And one of those gentlemen referred that book at one of these events. So my mind was already like heading down that direction. And then when I read the book, was like, dude, this is definitely what I'm pursuing.
Yeah, to me, it kind of reminds me of The Alchemist. In my mind, that's a book that kind of did that for me.
Nice.
On that same, you familiar with The Alchemist?
I'm familiar. I never read it, but I'm familiar with that book. Yeah.
Yeah, another great book, like an allegory of how to grow and the spiritual journey.
Nice.
And
Think and Grow Rich. That was, if I have to name my top 3, then I would say Think and Grow Rich will be in there, and How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, those are some great books.
That made me a different person. Think and Grow Rich was good because it's like the mentality, the burning desire and all that.
And you do the mastermind clubs, right? That's
part of
Napoleon
Mastermind.
Hill, something that he created. I think it was his book right before that, but mastermind clubs. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's all part of what the different topics of Think and Grow Rich, but How to Win Friends and Influence People, that probably
Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, that one there, like, really, dude, it's not about you. It's about other people, and nobody cares about what you have to say until they know you care. And, just the way you communicate with people, really, that book's like, for sure, top 3.
I think it's a horrible title. I stayed away from that book for so long because it sounded so
title.
cheesy, you know? And then finally I dive into it and it's like, this book is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
What'd he do? Why'd he call it this? It's like, that sounds cheesy, but it was like, oh, so much wealth in that book.
Right.
You can mine that for days and days.
Yeah, and The Secret was another game changer as well. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you are, okay. Hip to
yeah,
this.
just like I said, sometimes the titles stick, but the author's not so much.
Yeah, so he's just in the video.
Movie?
Yeah, he's in the video. That's one of the biggest guys in the video.
Is that the guy that had the?
He's the older guy with the white hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's that talks in the beginning.
Right. That guy that had the vision board, man. That was a crazy. That story.
That's
is
a great story. Yeah.
So that's what I remember the most about that. Video.
One of the sessions that I had with Justin's uncle. He kind of told me some stuff from The Secret. How about you do this? And then later on, like a year later, I ended up watching The Secret. It's like, oh, that's where he got it from.
Yeah.
That's cool, but it worked.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? When you really start, because I think there's a certain level of intuition that you have even before you're really aware of The Secret or you actually come across that information. But once you come across that information, whether it was through the book, through somebody explaining it to you or watching the video, it's almost like confirmation of what your intuition has always told you, but we don't trust ourselves that much.
It's been with you the whole time.
Exactly.
It's been with
the
you
whole
since
entire
day
time.
one.
Mm-hmm.
If you would just pause, sit, and listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up with what I wrap it up with. Where do you see yourself? Where are you trying to go?
So my biggest ambition now is to really be a Hispanic leader. I think we don't necessarily do it, but other sources around us put our culture into a box. Like, oh, you're Hispanic, you must be good at this, you must do that, or can you cut my grass? Right. If we're being real, right? And so I really want to break that stigma of like, we're the guys with the sombrero laying next to the cactus, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to really inspire other Hispanic individuals and anybody in general, right? But it's like, I think it's important to reach back to your own culture, right? Because if you want to impact the world, you got to start with your family, you got to start with your culture, and then expand that way, where there's no bias. Like, I want to help anybody anywhere, but there's a certain responsibility. I feel that you got to look back to like the cities you grew up in, the neighborhoods you grew up in, and see how those kids are doing, and say, hey, what's going on in these communities, and who are the Hispanic people rising here?
Hey, I dig it, man. I think a tribal living is the way we were supposed to live.
Yeah.
Take care of your own.
Right.
There's ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah,
That I think that's a beautiful thing. That's how we were supposed to live. It's like, oh no, I got to help these people come up, right?
Well, I feel that there's a lot of other leaders, great leaders, that are already supporting in other areas, right? So it's like, where can I find a void, And obviously, I feel that and I think there's great leaders already in the Hispanic community that are pushing, but there's only so many. There's way more people out there that need that help, that financial literacy. They need good books recommended to them, podcast information, that it's not just, hey, go to school, go get a job, or go do what your dad did, or you know what I mean? Like, there's so many opportunities out there, and sometimes you're just one contact away. So if I can provide somebody that's got a specific talent and connect them with someone that can provide them opportunity, even if it's indirectly, like, I'm going to feel good about that situation, because, I feel that, I had something to do with that collaboration and whatever came out from that.
So your where is leadership.
Yeah, man, that's what motivates me. Because again, it's like, when you lead, there's a mission. And when you accomplish that mission, you win as a team, right? If it's just individual, like, individual awards are pretty boring. Like, it's like, cool, congrats, you did it.
Yeah.
And
you want somebody to celebrate with.
Yeah. And
you want to everybody come up, let's celebrate. Let's go have that pool party at my new mansion or whatever.
And finances are part of like the celebration, being in a position where you can afford to have people come over and show them a good time, and or invite them. Like, we're planning over the holidays to invite people to our beach house in Baja. Like, if I didn't have the means to be able to accomplish that, I wouldn't be able to invite people and show them a good time, right? And so if it inspires people to say, man, I want this for myself too, now it's like, you're inspiring others and living your dream at the same time. Right.
Hear that, Justin? We're going to the beach house in Baja.
Let's do it, man. We can plan a weekend, a 3-day weekend, and you guys let me know. We'll make it happen.
That's a beautiful thing, man. And so I'm going to end it one other question. You think you ever be that fountain?
I'm working for that. There's a lot of hustle in me left. I think that it's hard to stay put, but my wife and my kids, they help me become that fountain, because
they ground you.
Yeah, for sure. My wife, man, she's a fountain. She doesn't chase nobody. She's not impressed by anything. Like, she's just living life. We all put in our pants one leg at a time. She never gets too high or too low. When things are really good, she doesn't get on her high horse, and when things get a little tough, she doesn't get depressed. Like, she's always like, hey, we got to figure it out, so I want to be more like her, let's say that.
Well, and just to not to put you on the spot, but like, we haven't kicked it in a while, right?
Yeah.
And the last, like, when I first saw you this last go around, I could tell it wasn't like, kind of what he was saying, wasn't like the sale, like, obviously this thing, I think a lot of salesmen are like the shark, and
and it's funny because I created a brand called Sell Shark, right? But my whole concept is that I want to change the way salespeople look at sales, and I want to change what other people's opinion of sales is, because it's like that used car salesman. No disrespect to any used car salesman, but like the ones you see on TV, and they're so pushy and they'll say whatever just to convince you. I think that's the old school salesperson.
Yeah.
If somebody still thinks they got to yap away to get a deal done, sales is more. You get paid in sales not for the information you give. You get paid for the information you get. And if you ask the right questions, you don't even have to pitch it. people will be interested in what you do and tell you things like, hey, I know you do solar and I'm not ready to go solar yet, but if I do, you're my guy. And I'm like, I'll be right here. And guess what? A year later, months later, well, you know how we mentioned that we were kind of interested in, oh, my wife and I were talking and now, we want to go solar. And it's like, cool, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll close you, but I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to be that pushy guy that's going to, wait outside your house until you come home from work. And I know guys like that, so that's not my style. That's not our team style. And last time I checked, we're doing pretty good. So
I felt it. Justin felt it, and I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I'm eager to see you as that leader in your community and also be that fountain at the same time. And then where people flock around you to come and find a peace and find something refreshing. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
And I think you're on that journey, man. So thank you again. Thank you, Justin, for helping out in this show. This was cool to get you guys.
This was fun, guys.
Thanks for having me.
You guys are awesome, man. I love what you guys are doing. I'll follow anything you do, any events, whatever I can do to help and my team support, let me know.
All right, man. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for listening. Don't forget, you could subscribe if you listen on Apple Podcasts. You can also leave a rating and a review. That helps us get up the top of the chain and more people can listen to us. Thank you to my man Luis over here, 310 Media. You can also visit them, The Legacy. They got a venue right across the street from us over here at the Littlewood Co-op. They do a lot of things, take perfect pictures for your quinceañera, your wedding, and all that good stuff. And thank you guys again. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate the Littlewood Co-op. And hey, God bless.
Yeah, see.